Welcome to the Eye on Arkesia and Patch Notes special. That's right, it's a 2-for-1 as we go over what you'd usually find in both videos in this hypercharged moment as we usher Tier 4 into Lost Ark. The Arkesia Ignited update is the biggest endgame update in the history of Lost Ark, so we wanted to come together to share a look at what's on the horizon for the game with tomorrow's update and in the coming month of October. You might notice we're not in our usual location, but this isn't a usual episode. It's special, so we've mixed it up. This video is going to be a lot longer than our regular videos, and it's going to provide some extra details about events going on outside of the game and what you can expect with our second update coming later this month. Henry and I have also invited Matt to come along for the ride and join us as we introduce players to what they have to look forward to with all of our massive updates. So with that, let's get started.
Hello, heroes of Arkesia. We've got a lot to cover today, as Rox mentioned, and this isn't going to be a multi-hour video. So we're going to cover some highlights and things we know that you care about, but are going to be pointing you to the written release notes for some of the nitty-gritty or very nuanced changes. The full doc rang in around 17,000 words, which is over 50 pages of text in a document. So we're going to try and strike a balance here, but as always, let us know what you think in the comments. We care about your feedback. I even wore a flowery shirt today because of a comment left by John Powell on the last Patch Notes video, so we do care. All right, let's launch into it. The Arkesia Ignited update releases on October 9th, tomorrow, if you're watching right when this video comes out, and it heralds in the beginning of a new age for new and veteran players alike. The time for the Allied forces to gather in North Curzon and unite in battle against Khazaros's demonic legions has arrived. The battle in North Curzon is going to serve as the entry point into Tier 4, which is Lost Ark's endgame evolution, introducing a ton of new systems and endgame power-ups for players to kind of bulk up and get ready for battle before facing some of the many challenges arriving with new raids and new activities. The vast array of new gear, systems, and new abilities aren't the only thing that's going to help you power up as you face Khazaros forces. Reinforcements are going to be critical to overcome the demonic hordes and to bolster the rank of players ready to enter Tier 4. We have a special progression event arriving in the form of Ignite servers. Those special servers are going to quickly level players up to 1620 and give them a few tools to help enter the fray. We're going to cover all that and more in detail, but before we dive in, if you didn't see the live stream, we also have a really special new inclusion in the update, which is a bit of a roadmap shift, and one of the reasons we wanted Matt to come in for this video. Matt, you want to share what we cooked up to make this update extra special?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really excited to announce that Hyper Awakening and Hyper Awakening skills are going to be released tomorrow alongside the Tier 4 update. We had originally planned to release this content in November, but we heard a lot of feedback from you that you wanted it sooner, so that's what we did. With Hyper Awakening, you're going to see a massive spike in power that's going to allow you to clear content faster, especially some of the old Tier 3 content. And you're going to be able to do Behemoth Raid much easier than before. So we're really hyped that we're going to be able to share this with you, that you guys are going to be able to get to play it, and that it's going to pair nicely with things like the Ark Passive.
Yeah, I think that this was super cool because it means that all of the tabs of the Ark Passive are going to be available right away. As players start earning points, they're going to be able to figure out that whole system and how it fits together. So I think it's super cool. Also, the animations are sick. I'm so pumped for just those skills. Both the Hyper Awakenings themselves and also just having a new skill slot with the Hyper Awakening skill that comes along with it. I'm really pumped for just being able to like cruise through some raids and then also just have more tools when it comes to Tier 4.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. I think even when we did our last roadmap video, a lot of players were so excited for Hyper Awakening just as a part of Tier 4, even when they knew it was going to come a little bit later. Now that it's coming at the same time, I'm just super, super excited about that. And I feel like it's going to feel even bigger and better to enter Tier 4 and immediately kind of get access to that new power, both just, you know, in-game with watching the numbers go burr and have that awesome new animation and these epic moments.
100%. Especially as like Tier 4 to like fully get all your points and unlock all the systems. We'll dive into that more in a little bit, but it takes some time to unlock all of that. But you'll have this just right away as soon as the update drops. I mean, you have to do a quest first, but once you do a quick quest,
couple quests.
Yeah, you're ready to like just like unleash a ton more like damage. It should be fun.
I mean, debatable. I'm sure you guys have seen tier lists on it, but I still think the Destroyer has the best Hyper Awakening.
Destroyers is pretty
okay.
He
cool.
like pulls his hammer towards him and charges up and
Yeah.
explodes.
Sorceress
It's pretty
Meteor,
sick.
though.
Yeah, the Meteor's
Sort of.
cool. The Artillerist one, you have like the huge battle robot that like drops
Yeah.
into the battlefield. I mean, they're all really
Yeah, that's
Paladin sword coming from the sky.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, I know that this was like a big collaboration, Matt. How did that like come about?
Yes, I mean, Hyper Awakening and the Ark Passives are going to be very core elements of Tier 4, as we know. So both Amazon Games and Smilegate worked very closely to make sure that we could get this in time, pull it forward. A lot of work went into this, so we're very excited for you to be able to experience it tomorrow.
Like I said, when we get to the patch notes part, we'll get a little bit more into the details, but we wanted to just share with you what our thinking was, why we brought it over, and just talk about it, that it's going to be in the update.
Yeah, get excited. It's not something we announced earlier either.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. All right, up next, let's talk about Ignite servers. This is going to be that whole component we talked about of bringing some fresh reinforcements in to join the fight against Kazaros. And we want to make sure that that is like a very, almost a boot camp-like experience where you're able to come in, fight a bunch of raids, learn the basics of Lost Ark, and then be able to join your friends or other players in the end game of Lost Ark, which is, a really exciting time with all these new systems, Hyper Awakenings, all that stuff that's coming into the game. So this is built to be a very express experience to get you through that fight as soon as possible, while still balancing needing to learn some of these systems, whether you're a returning player who might need to brush up on some of the things that have changed in the game, or a new player and need to learn just how Lost Ark functions in general. We took a lot of learnings from Jumpstart servers that ran about a year ago to build these servers and find out ways of optimizing them and creating the best experience. Matt, do you want to tell us about like some of the learnings that we had and how Ignite servers differ from Jumpstart servers?
Yeah, I mean, one of them was length of time, right? So Jumpstart servers, they spanned a couple months, whereas the Ignite servers, you're going to have 7 weeks. And then ideally, you're going to be able to get through, if you do all the events and all the content, you're going to get through it in 2 weeks' time. So at 2 weeks' time, you should have a 1620 character. You're going to have going through all the content. A big component that we learned from Jumpstart, right, is we wanted to be able to give players the ability to complete the content without spending too much time. So we're giving everything that you need to hit 1620. So another big component between Jumpstart and Ignite servers is the store. So we're only going to be offering a very few set of cosmetic items, pets, mounts, some skins. We're not going to have the full store like you would see in legacy servers. So I think it's going to be a really awesome feeling. You're not going to have to worry about, spending money to get through this content. You're going to be able to get through it in a nice fun time with your friends.
Yeah, I think it's huge because one of the things about Jumpstart servers was they were kind of focused on creating a new space for newer players to come in together and play together. And while that worked for a little bit, the Ignite servers are really more about getting you in, getting you ready to go to the end game, and getting you up to speed with all the players that are already in the game. So we're getting you in and getting you over to join everyone else, which is kind of really cool. I feel like our community of vets, is very broad, but there's nothing like having some new players to join in with your raids.
Yeah, absolutely, Rox. I think to support players in that journey, one of the things that we've done is provide a new UI experience. There's an event shop and progression events exclusive to Ignite servers that, as Matt was saying, are built to like graduate you from those servers very quickly. There's enormous honing boosts, like almost no gold needed for honing, that sort of stuff. So it still teaches you these systems of how to hone your gear, how to upgrade it, how to increase your power level throughout the course of a few weeks, but you won't need to spend money or do any of that. We want to get you to the end game of what Lost Ark really is, and then if you want to keep progressing or buy, different skins, we have some Halloween ones coming later this month, for instance, a little sneak preview, then you'll be able to make those decisions once you really get a taste of what Lost Ark is. So really excited for how this looks for either new returning players or, since we're about to talk about the transfer experience, even existing players who want to check it out. I think that that's something really cool that we've added. Matt, do you want to just tell people what the transfer experience is going to look like?
Yeah, so at a high level, you're going to be able to character transfer to a legacy world. And this is going to be different from what we did with Jumpstart, where we ended up merging your characters into a world. You're going to be able to legit transfer one character of your choice. So you'll be able to create 6 total in the Ignite servers, but only pick one. So we're going to give you plenty of time to pick your play style, figure out exactly what you like, and then when you're ready, within the 7-week period, you'll be able to pick that one character, move it over. There's going to be the opportunity to character transfer or roster transfer. If you're a new or returning player and your legacy roster, maybe it's not so great compared to your Ignite roster, you can roster transfer that over and it'll overwrite your existing roster. So it kind of gives you a nice little boost to your overall roster. If you're an active player and let's say you already have a well-established roster, you may not want to do that, right? So we're allowing you to do what's called character transfer. So you get only transfer that character into your existing roster, which is really cool because you don't have to go and delete your existing characters or delete your existing roster. You're just going to be able to add one more character to it. So it's another very enticing thing for the active player base.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like having kind of a living Power Pass or like Express event. Go make that character on that server and then bring them all over to meet the family on your existing server.
I mean, there's so many like end game changes for existing players with Hyper Awakenings and balance changes that this is kind of an opportunity for someone to add a character they've been eyeing to their roster, and while they're in those servers, maybe help some newer returning players through a few raids, just as part of the package. And to be clear, the transfer window is going to open on October 23rd, and everyone will be able to transfer one character out. That'll be kind of your graduation to the end game, whether you're a new, returning, or hardcore player.
And speaking of graduation, there are certain milestones that if you happen to transfer, let's say at 1610, you're going to get a subset of rewards. If you transfer at 1620, which ideally you hit 1620 through the Ignite server event, then you're going to get the maximum amount of rewards when you transfer, and we're calling that the server transfer package.
Yeah, and those rewards are pretty crazy juiced. You're not going to be able to transfer any gold or silver from that you've earned on the Ignite server. Instead, you're just going to get a big bonus package like Matt was talking about. It's going to have silver, gold, tier 4 gems, tier 4 honing materials. I think there's even like a relic engraving book, which I know are going to be hefty price coming up here pretty soon. It's just a super juiced package. And there's one at 1600 and 1610, not as juiced, so you really want to hit that 1620 mark before you graduate. But no worries if you don't, just make sure you transfer before the servers end in 7 weeks.
Yeah, but like we said too, it should be very, very feasible, very easy to hit 1620 if you're in there playing far before those 7 weeks. But if you hop in late, don't worry, you can still get a character kind of up to speed and over to get you closer to the end game too.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I have some friends coming back for it, so it'll be cool just getting to do a bunch of raids with folks. Another really key component of graduating is there are certain activities that you'll want to play on the existing legacy servers when you transfer that aren't available on Ignite servers. That is going to be anything that is item level 1620 or higher. Examples are like Behemoth, Echidna, tier 4 content like the continent of North Curzon. You're going to have to transfer before you tackle some of those things.
Just to sum it up, so Ignite servers, very much different than our jump servers, existing jump servers. So you're going to be able to get a fresh 1620. You're going to be geared, ready to go for tier 4, so that when you do transfer, you're right into the mix with everybody else. So we're really excited to be able to introduce that, and we hope that you give us feedback on Ignite servers going forward.
Yeah, definitely. So outside of Ignite servers, your in-game experience as well, we're going to be doing some kind of like community events to get players excited, even when they're not in Arkesia. So when Ignite servers launch, we're also going to kick off a program called the Creator Ignite program. Week over week, as you journey through those Ignite servers, kind of regardless of how fast you pace yourself through them, you'll be able to play through some of that content with other members of the community and follow along with some of our creator coaches to kind of help support and guide you, especially if you're a new player. By tuning in week over week like this, you'll be able to earn a variety of different Twitch drops, giveaways, rewards, all sorts of just fun items that you can earn codes for and get items with in-game that will help support you as you make progress in your journey to Arkesia's endgame. So be sure to stay tuned into our social channels and catch all of those Twitch streams so that you can earn all the available possible rewards, because there will be quite a few of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be super exciting, just having some, creators show how to play Lost Ark the best. That's always helpful for me, watching streams. Another thing that I do, and that we're going to be partnering with on the website side, is promoting some of the people that make the best Lost Ark guides that there are for newer returning players to check out. And those are going to be Maxroll and Lost Ark Nexus, both great community hubs where you can learn a ton of things about Lost Ark. So be on the lookout as we do some guides. We'll be linking out to them, which is just the best place to learn. There's so much to learn. Build guides, how to find island souls, how to do raids. There's so much. So we want to make sure you're armed with some of the best Lost Ark resources out there. So we have a ton of stuff planned.
Yeah, super excited to be able to promote those folks' work because they are doing the most. I think we all know, if you're watching this video, you know how dense of a game Lost Ark is, and we're really grateful. We have such great community contributors that take the time to make those guides, and we're just really excited to kind of promote them a little bit, share them, make sure players know where to go to get those.
All right, now that we've talked about some of the biggest things coming in, we're going to talk about some of the details for those things and also all the other major pieces of content. We're into the patch notes section. So let's kick things off with North Curzon, your entry point into Tier 4. It's going to be a new continent arriving with new adventures, quests, activities, and so much more. Give a little bit of a lore background. Curzon has been overwhelmed by the Demon Legion and the Chaos Guardians, ushering Arkesia towards the imminent revival of Kazaros. In the events that took place in Elniad, the Asar's land was liberated, and the Allied forces have begun to gather for that war.
I got this. So, the Antares volcano is writhing in furious turmoil, venting plumes of ash from its smoldering depths. Amidst this molten crucible, the final battle to decide Arkesia's destiny will rage with cataclysmic force.
Thanks, Rox. Beginning the story of North Curzon will require a character at item level 1600 or above, and requires the completion of South Curzon World Quest, Kazaros Raid Overture Prologue Quest, and the Epic Raid Behemoth Prologue Quest. North Curzon is going to include a vast variety of new content, including a new field boss named Sevek Atun, who drops valuable collectibles, including an Enlightenment Point Potion, and one of the new collectibles we'll talk about in a little bit, a Blood Claws chart. That field boss is going to include recent changes made in Korea to increase the drop rate of some of those items. It's also going to be rebalanced for the Western version of Lost Ark to item level 1640. You're also going to be able to encounter all the classic content updates you'd expect with a new continent, like an Adventurer's Tome, Ignia Token, Wandering Merchant, new 1640 Chaos Gate that has a new skill rune, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It's going to have 2 new alchemy items, new Tier 4 trade skill yields, 9 new world tree leaves, new emote, achievements, Makoko Seed, knowledge transfer, and a ton more. Matt, you've played through it, right?
Oh yeah, I've played through it a couple times actually, just internally, created a paladin, started the quest chain. It's really awesome because everyone gets together, right? Like the whole gang gets back together. You're starting to gather your reinforcements like we've talked about. You're going through and you're battling like hordes of demons, and you get to a point where like you have to choose where you want to go, what like outpost you want to defend. So it's pretty cool that the quest chain itself engages you in that way, right? Like normally it's kind of linear, but this one you're like, no, I'm gonna choose this one over this one, and it kind of changes the story up a little bit. And then there's this really cool part where you get to in Kazaros.
Sorry, they don't know how this works. No spoilers. Also, it's gonna take forever if all 3 of us do all these patch notes. So you're not here for 3 hours. I'm gonna keep going solo. All right, so no spoilers, but along with providing new quests and adventures, North Curzon is going to serve as the entry point to Tier 4. Once you've completed North Curzon, you're going to be able to enter Tier 4, unlock the Curzon Front and Kenuart Fortress, and let's talk about what those new activities are. Curzon Front is a new type of hack and slash content similar to Chaos Dungeons. Instead, it's going to consume 100 aura of resonance, so you'll only need to do 1 a day instead of 2. Two of those dungeons are going to be added, one at item level 1640, which is kind of the entry point to tier 4, and a second one at item level 1660, which will just give some more advanced materials, similar like in tier 3, how each new level of a chaos dungeon would give incrementally more rewards. On top of that, Kenuart Fortress is a new dungeon that you can challenge alone or in a 4-player party. It's going to require item level 1620. Kenuart Fortress lets you earn tier 4 relic equipment, ensuring a smooth transition from tier 3 to tier 4. The first time you defeat a boss in Kenuart Fortress each day, you're guaranteed to get a tier 4 gear selection chest, letting you pick whatever piece of armor you want. And additional ones can also be earned as drops. Another key activity that's going to be arriving with North Curzon in tier 4 is going to be the Argeos Guardian raid. It's going to be the first tier 4 Guardian raid added to the Purification level 2 tab at item level 1640. Along with tier 4 honing materials, you're also going to be able to earn the Epic Rune Vision, which is a new one. So new achievements, new cards, new titles are going to be available from all of those. And to wrap up some of the new activities, we're also going to have a new UI called the Kazaros War Map. You can access the Kazaros War Map system after clearing North Curzon main quest, and can swap the content UI between tier 3 content and the tier 4 Kazaros War Map to kind of show you what activities you can accomplish now that you've completed Curzon and are ready for the litany of threats in tier 4. So along with all that, supporting systems have been added, including new related guide quests, new achievements, and the contribution system. The contribution system applies to the Curzon front, tier 4 Guardian raids, and the Kazaros and Epic raids, which all grant contribution XP. The contribution awards provide useful effects in those related content, such as damage increases and additional HP, and each content is going to have a different effect. So up next, we're going to talk about all of the tier 4 progression systems. Lost Ark's endgame evolution is going to arrive in this update, updating how you progress, how you gear, and what your paths to power are. There's a ton to cover in this, and today I'm just going to try and give you a solid overview of these systems and how to move from tier 3 to tier 4 and get some of these activated. But there's a ton of nuance, a lot of min-maxing, there's going to be a lot more resources and guides on how to build your specific character when we're talking about Ark Passive skill trees and different things. So let's cover the basics, and from there, there's going to be a ton for you to experience once you get in game and check it out for yourself. So first off, let's talk the basics of gear progression. Tier 4 relic gear can be earned from the Kenuart Fortress, and through gear transfer will be converted to tier 4 gear, requiring new honing materials to complete honing and tier 4 advanced honing. When tier 3 gear is transferred to tier 4, the Artisan's Energy, Honing XP, and the Honing Failure Success bonus won't be transferred, but what will be transferred is the existing advanced honing level and any quality information. However, advanced honing tier 4 gear is going to require tier 4 materials. The new honing materials are going to be called Destiny Leapstones, Destiny Destruction and Guardian Stones, Destiny Shards, and then the fusion materials are called Abydos Fusion Materials. The tier 4 honing materials have been added to Material Exchange NPC, so you can convert a lot of your tier 3 ones to tier 4 for every material other than shards. And also tier 4 honing materials have been added to the Bloodstone shop, and then also to Echidna Normal and Hard mode, and Behemoth, so you'll have a few ways of earning those materials right off the bat. So tier 4 additional honing materials are going to include Lava's Breath and Glacier's Breath, which replace some of the solar mats that you had in tier 3. And to top it off, special honing is going to be called Circulated Leapstones for when you do those special hones in tier 4. To quickly touch on Ancient Gear, tier 4 Ancient Gear is going to be available a little bit later on when the A-Gear raid releases on October 23rd. So up next, let's talk about accessories. Tier 4 accessories have been added, starting with Relic accessories. Once again, Ancient's going to be available a little bit later on when A-Gear is added. But for Relic accessories, they're going to be obtainable from the Curzon front, both Abydos 1 and 2 operations, Echidna, the Argeos Guardian raid, and A-Gear, the 1660 normal mode when it releases later this month. Accessories no longer provide engraving nodes and instead offer stat increases in Ark Passive enlightenment points. We're going to talk about Ark Passive and how those points work a little bit, but it is a key way that they've been changed for this new system. Along with that, a new accessory refining system arrives for upgrading accessories, and accessories can be traded before, during, or after the refining process, letting you kind of have more flexibility around trading or buying accessories from other players. This system is going to allow all equipped accessories to have 3 rows of additional stats that can be rolled at random for additional stat bonuses. So each accessory type, necklace, earrings, and rings, have particular refining effects that are unique to them, with rarities tied to a percentage chance to acquire when you refine. So similar kind of to how bracelets have functioned in Tier 3, where there's different perks and different rarities of those perks. You're going to be able to see the full list of effects at the refining NPC in major cities. Refining is going to require a new material called luminous gem shards, which are earned by dismantling Tier 4 accessories and gold. New guide quests and a related NPC have been added into the game to teach you how to use this new system, since there are some nuances. You'll be able to just check that out quickly, see how the system works as you go through that quest, and when you talk to the NPC, it's also where you're going to be able to see some of the new perks and how the system works as a whole. Up next, let's talk about engraving updates. In Tier 4, you can equip 5 combat engravings and level them up individually with engraving recipes, which now, instead of enhancing the nodes of the engraving, directly impact the bonus that the engraving provides. We've also added relic books to move it up a notch. Relic engraving books are going to be added, which give the highest value increase. Rare engraving recipes have actually been removed, and any remaining recipes will be replaced with epic recipes. Ability stone nodes will also enhance the effect of the engraving with 4 available levels, rather than providing nodes towards an engraving. Ability stones will instead have levels that can be achieved based on the number of nodes that you cut as you go through those stones. So those nodes don't apply to having to have 15 nodes to hit a Tier 3 engraving, for instance. Instead, those just help power it up. And level 1 is going to be unlocked at 6 of those nodes, level 2 at 7, level 3 at 9, and level 4 at 10 nodes, which provides the biggest bonus. Additionally, if the total faceting level is over 5, a faceting level bonus effect will be applied, which grants a base attack power of plus 1.5%. So there's still a lot of value. If you have a good stone on your character, you're going to be able to transfer it over. There are some weird ones where, like an 8-8 stone, since the breakpoint is 7 and then 9, an 8-8 stone unfortunately isn't as viable, but if you have a 9-7, it's still going to be super viable. 7-7 still provides 4 nodes, and also 10-6 becomes a really good stone as well, in addition to 9-7. So to maintain the value that you have of those Tier 3 stones are going to be able to be transferred to Tier 4 stones. So that's how combat engraving works. Things like Grudge, Keen Blunt, all the things that you apply that aren't your class engravings. Class engravings, on the other hand, have been moved into the new Ark Passive system and are now functioning very similar to a skill tree, with various impactful options that further customize the class's playstyle. You can switch between the Tier 3 and Tier 4 engraving system by turning the Ark Passive off and on. And we'll talk about the Ark Passive in a moment. Next, let's talk about gems really quickly. Tier 4 gems are going to be called Doomfire gems and Blazing gems and have been added to the game. Only characters item level 1640 and above can equip Tier 4 gems. Those new base Tier 4 gems also increase your base attack power, and new effects have been added to the Doomfire, which are the attack gems for support classes. Those new effects are going to be things like ally heal bonus, ally shield bonus, attack power bonus for all allies, damage bonus for all allies, basically powering up a lot of the party buffs that you provide to your party. Tier 3 gems can be converted to Tier 4 gems, but when transferred, gems converting will down level 2 levels from their old level. For example, a Tier 3 level 10 gem will transfer into a Tier 4 level 8 gem, but they will stay the same skill and same type when transferred. So if you had a cooldown gem on a certain skill or an attack gem on a certain skill, it will retain that information, just be down leveled by 2. One important thing to note is for previous tiers of Lost Ark, The new gems, when you're at the higher level, would all of a sudden like not do as much damage or provide like half their effect. But that's not going to be the case with tier 3 gems. So as you move into tier 4, it might make sense for you to keep some of your gems at tier 3. For instance, maybe like your level 10 attack gems to get that 40% buff before you want to transfer them over. And those will still deal full or still have their full effect equipped. So you won't lose out on anything by not transferring your gems over yet. All right, up next, let's talk about the Ark Passive. It's a new way to approach building your character, which will serve as like the main way you build in tier 4. It's going to overhaul a ton of the character build systems from tier 3 and also add in new effects. In tier 4, key stats like crit, swift, spec, gear set effects, class engravings, and more will all be added into the Ark Passive system. Ark Passive effects are only available after the effect is turned on and can be turned on after completing the North Curzon main quest. You can open the Ark Passive UI through the Character Information UI or by pressing the hotkey, which is default assigned to the period button. When the Ark Passive is turned on, the new Engraving and Ability Stone system will be applied. And when it's turned on, the following effects will be deactivated. Your current battle stats, gear set effect, tier 3 engraving effects will all be turned off, basically. In the Ark Passive, there's going to be 3 key tabs that you can navigate between. The basic stats and effects replacing the gear effects are going to be in the Evolution tab. Class specialization is going to be in the Enlightenment tab, things like your engravings, which turns into kind of a skill tree where you can select different effects. And the final tab is going to be called the Leap tab, which has information and upgrades related to your Hyper Awakening and your Hyper Awakening skills. These can all be upgraded by connecting the nodes in the UI that resemble a skill tree to fully customize your playstyle. Each Ark Passive has 4 tiers. If you want to acquire the upper tier effects, you need to meet some point thresholds in the lower tiers. Some Ark Passive effects need the lower levels to be activated before you can activate them. And activating all of this is going to require Ark Passive points. Those can be earned from a multitude of sources to further level up the effects, including tier 4 gear, tier 4 accessories, increasing your combat level, and more. For example, Evolution gives 1 point every time your combat level increases after level 51. You can also increase it with your gear, with points coming from both Relic and Ancient gear. Tier 4 accessories have points, and that point is proportioned to both the accessory and the quality, with additional points coming from refining those accessories further through that new refining system that we just talked about. So to quickly sum up how you earn points for some of these different tabs, let's talk through some of where you can get them from, just to give you a quick overview. For the Evolution tab, 1 point is going to come for every combat level past level 51. And you'll also get points from equipping tier 4 gear, with Relic and Ancient gear each giving different amounts of points. The Evolution passive has max points that can be used in each tier. Tier 1 you can use 40, Tier 2 you can use 30, Tier 3 you can use 20, and Tier 4 has a max of 30 points. So for the Enlightenment points, you can earn 1 point per level past combat level 51. You can also earn points by equipping Tier 4 accessories, which have various amounts of points. You can also earn more points by consuming Enlightenment point potions earned through various activities, such as a random drop from the North Curzon field boss. The final tab, Leap, you can earn 2 points per level past combat level 51. And with a future update, you'll be able to get points through the Tier 4 bracelet and karma system, which will be arriving in the future. Spoiler alerts for things that may be coming later this year. So earlier in the video, Matt, Rox, and I talked about Hyper Awakenings arriving in the update and how this is a super important power increase for every class in Lost Ark. Now I'm going to cover some of the details about what Hyper Awakening skills and Hyper Awakenings, how they'll function in the game. So there's going to be 2 power upgrades included in the system, as I just mentioned. Hyper Awakenings, which significantly enhances the power of 1 awakening skill in a gate or activity, and Hyper Awakening skills, which are new skills that have been added for each class and activated using a separate key on the skill slot. For a lot of players, this means when you're using your skills, you will now have 9 available instead of the standard 8. The skills can be acquired as rewards after clearing quests and can be strengthened by fulfilling various conditions. So you're going to acquire these new Hyper Awakening skills simultaneously with the Hyper Awakening. And each class can earn 2 Hyper Awakening skills, other than Gunslinger and Deadeye, which receive 3. You can receive the quest from the Mysterious Light NPC found in most major cities after this update. There are a few prerequisites before you can complete that quest. You need to be item level 1640, combat level 60. You need to have completed the North Curzon main quest, which is called the Path to Take. And then you also have to have completed the Awakening quest, either Sunset or Memories of the Journey. And once you've cleared all of that, you can acquire this quest, which leads you to earn your Hyper Awakening and Hyper Awakening skills. The main quest is going to be a roster quest, and other characters in the roster can proceed through a shortened version to earn the Hyper Awakenings afterwards. I'll touch on a few things for each of these systems. Hyper Awakening is going to add a new gauge around the Awakening that needs to be charged and then used once that gauge is filled, providing an exceptionally powerful bonus effect to the Awakening. The gauge increases slowly when you're in battle and landing skills on enemy targets. You can then use this by pressing Alt-V as the default binding, but you can change the hotkey if you want to. Even if the Hyper Awakening gauge is full, you can still use your normal Awakening skills by using your default Awakening hotkey. For most people, it's V. And that lets you kind of find the perfect time to unleash your Hyper Awakening in battle. When you use the Hyper Awakening, the number of uses on your Awakening skill is shared, so it will count as using one, and will also share the cooldown time. If you use all of your number of uses in a fight on Awakening skills, you can't activate your Hyper Awakening. Also, if the gauge is full, but the Awakening skill is on cooldown, you can't use the Hyper Awakening until that cooldown has ended. You can use the Hyper Awakening once per gate or content that you're in, and the gauge won't increase if you've already used it in that fight. The number of Hyper Awakenings reset when moving between areas, or moving between gates, or when you enter a battle workshop. One important thing to note is when you use your Hyper Awakening, you're actually invincible. There's a big animation that plays for a lot of classes, so you can't die during that. And at the end of the Hyper Awakening, the invincible status will persist for 1 second. However, you can't use this to kind of cheese mechanics. If there's something that is like a raid wipe, for instance, you will still die to that. You just will not die from like damage or heavy damage patterns in a boss fight. The damage of the Hyper Awakening is proportional to the player's base attack power, and the damage of that skill can only be increased through increasing base attack power or through damage increase effects. Now that we've talked about the Hyper Awakening itself, let's talk about Hyper Awakening skills. And sorry for saying Hyper Awakening so many times. It's a little confusing with Hyper Awakenings, the enhancement to your existing Awakening, and then Hyper Awakening skills, which are the new skills that have been added for each class. But let's transition and start talking about those skills. They've been added for every character on a separate key in a new slot. The default is going to be the T key, but you can reassign that. I think I'm going to use like a thumb mouse button for mine, just to easily fit it into my damage rotation. These skills function as a completely new skill, very similar to just your other skills on your bar. The use of Hyper Awakening skills consumes class-specific resources like mana, just like any other skill, and they can be used at any point in time without any conditions, apart from resources and cooldowns, obviously. These Hyper Awakening skills don't have tripods, and skill points are not used on them. They can't have gems or runes assigned to them either, and some passive effects from the Ark Passive Enlightenment are not applicable to the Hyper Awakening skills themselves. There are various places that Hyper Awakenings and Hyper Awakening skills can't be used though, such as content using the Book of Coordination, like Inferno mode. It won't just be a sudden power increase to Inferno mode, you'll still need to use your base build without those. That was a lot. I know it got wordy, but I'm just super excited for everyone to be able to hop in game and try them out. I would check out the different skills, check out your different enhancements to your awakenings. It should be a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool animations. So just super excited for everyone to hop in game and check it out. With that, let's pivot a little bit and start talking about some of the events in this update. So first up, we're going to have a new event called the Light of Abyss event. This is going to be a new event shop-based progression event, arriving to give you additional rewards just for playing Lost Ark. You're going to be able to earn victory tokens by completing dailies and weekly activities, which you can then use in the event shop to get rewards. The tokens can also be exchanged for Radiant Victory tokens, which can be used for even better rewards. The shop is going to have some roster items that can be acquired once per roster, such as Fions, honing materials, along with the items in the Radiant token shop, which are super impactful. There will also be some items that refresh on a weekly basis, like silver, card XP, honing books, and even elixirs. The event is going to run through November 27th, and we're just adding this in as a way for you to earn some bonus rewards and get ready for Tier 4 raids like A-Gear a little bit faster. We haven't talked about the store yet, but Season 3 of Yaz's Jar is arriving, and since we're talking about events, there's going to be a Yaz's Jar Season 3 exchange event, which has been added to support that system. When opening jars to create a skin, players either receive a legendary skin or an epic skin and 10 bonus tickets. Those tickets can be exchanged at this new event exchange for a variety of bonus rewards, including trail effects, cards, card XP, or amethyst shards. This event is going to run until further notice while players are still actively participating in that Yaz's Jar system. All right, let's talk about some just general event updates. We've added new daily login rewards and Fever Time events, and also the daily playtime event is going to be continued, but with some updated rewards, including Tier 4 honing materials. The following list of events, however, are going to end with this update. The Maharaka Festival, Super Makoko Express, Volda's Power Pass event, Blooming Makoko event, Chase the Storm event, Arktoberfest, and the Double Fate Ember event are going to end with this update. There's a lot drawing to the end, but there's going to be a ton of events exclusive to Ignite servers for progression, and then also for everyone that's in Tier 4, that Light of the Abyss event will give you some ways to continue to earn various materials and help you through your Tier 4 progression journey. Up next, let's talk about updates to the store. First up, we have Yaz's Jar Season 3. The latest legendary skins arrive. You can reach the pinnacle of power in style by equipping these legendary skins, which will give you a little bit bigger of an attack boost than a normal skin gives. Let's check out what these skins look like in a showcase video. These new Yaz's Jar skins are going to require the same amount of cloth as the previous ones. And there's a ton of epic skins we couldn't show off just because there's so many for every class. We just looked at the legendary skins, but there's a ton more, so go check it out once you're in game. Up next, we have an overhaul to how Crystalline Aura is going to work that I'm going to talk through. Crystalline Aura has been upgraded and turned into Crystalline Aura Plus, offering increased benefits. The new Crystalline Aura Plus subscription is going to be your go-to for convenience bonuses to help you along on your adventures in Arkesia. With a Crystalline Aura Plus subscription, you're going to be able to enjoy all the benefits from the original Crystalline Aura, plus new bonuses and exclusive subscription-only perks. Your subscription will auto-renew until you choose to cancel it once you've signed up for it. If you already have any Crystalline Aura stocked up, no need to worry, it's going to be automatically converted to Crystalline Aura Plus. The only thing that you won't receive are any of those subscription bonuses. In the full release notes, we have all of those perks listed out. You can see the subscription bonuses along with just the new Crystalline Aura perks, but we've just tried to make it a bit more impactful for players. In this update, there's also going to be a new Ark Pass, which is going to be the Guardian of Eternity themed one. The newest Ark Pass arrives and is going to add new ways for you to earn impactful rewards just by playing Lost Ark. As most of you know, you can complete missions to progress through 30 Ark Pass levels, and with each level you reach, new rewards are going to be unlocked and earned. The regular Ark Pass is completely free and grants a variety of helpful rewards like Fions, honing material, selection chests, card packs, and this one even has a fun skeleton pet in it. Pass progress is earned across your entire roster, and the rewards are roster bound. While all players will have access to the free Ark Pass, those interested in more rewards and cosmetics can exchange royal crystals for 2 premium reward tracks, which are the premium and the super premium ones. And those are going to layer in additional rewards to the leveling track. Let's take a look at some of the cosmetics you're going to be able to get, both the free skeleton pet and some of the paid cosmetics. With Tier 4 arriving, there's going to be some general store changes you'll notice as well. We've streamlined some of the UI and the number of packs available. Some of the evergreen content that was there is going to be refreshed, so if you're interested in purchasing materials or different things, make sure to take a look through. Before we end with the store section, we're also going to be having a special article come out tomorrow talking about Tier 4 Founders Packs. This is going to be the biggest pack that's available on Steam, and it's going to have a ton of Tier 4 materials, exclusive cosmetics, and other things. You're going to be able to peruse that full list when that drops tomorrow alongside with the update, but let's take a first look at the cosmetics. Cool. Those are the cosmetics that are going to be in the Tier 4 Founders Packs, but there's a ton more, so make sure to check those out when they're in the store or on the website in the article tomorrow. All right, up next, let's talk about PvP. I'm actually going to bring Rox back for this. I know how much she loves PvP. She actually helped my team write this section of the release notes.
Oh God. Oh,
Got this,
PvP?
Rock? Yeah, PvP. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
I can tell.
PvP updates this month. Our combat challenges are actually going beyond just the fight for Arkesia, with a lot of new PvP improvements and updates coming to the Proving Grounds. A new 1v1 match-based mode called 3 Champions has been added to the Proving Grounds. In this mode, players will select 3 characters from their roster to battle against other players in a 1v1 relay. After setting up the Book of Coordination on 3 different characters on your roster, competitors can register for 3 Champions mode through boards in major cities or by just using the Proving Grounds button under the minimap. Once 3 characters are selected, players can press the Start Match button to enter the Proving Grounds and select the fighting order for their champions. Before readying up, players can change their Book of Coordination presets, and once you're ready, the character order and presets will be locked in for the coming match. So, you're in the match. The first player to win 3 1v1 rounds will be crowned the match winner. The first character in each player's lineup will take the field first, and just like in team elimination matches, a character that wins a round can continue on to fight in the next round. Each round has a time limit of 100 seconds. A player will win a round after taking out an enemy character, but if both characters are standing after the time expires, the character with more HP will win. After losing a round, the next character in line will automatically enter the field. The winning character's HP will be healed based on the amount of time remaining. The Proving Grounds penalty system will also be applied in this mode, so fight fairly. This 3 Champions mode also has an exclusive champion points system. Characters will fill their champion meter as time goes by in battle, when dealing or taking damage, or when using certain skills. When that meter fills up enough, players will earn a champion point. Players can then expend their accumulated champion points to get combat-related buffs that can help them turn the tide of battle, so it'll be a really exciting new mode.
Sounds like fun. Thanks, Rox. All right, so we've gotten through some of the biggest changes, and there are so many more. I think if you're reading through the release notes, you're maybe like 5,000 words down and have 12,000 to go. So I'm gonna rapid fire through some of the categories that I know you will care about, but there are many, many more that you're going to be interested in, along with specifics about all the things that I'm talking through. So I'm going to talk about some of the categories and top line changes, but not through every single thing individually. I'm going to make you read the full release notes for that. This is just going to be an overview, like what it used to be when we started making these videos. All right, let's start off with combat and gear. There are going to be various combat changes with the introduction of Tier 4. Transcendence and elixirs will be applied to the gear slots instead of specific gear pieces, and Transcendence has been updated and improved for the chest, pants, and weapon. Combat levels have been expanded, increasing the max level from 60 to 70, and we've expanded the max roster level to 400. We've reduced the XP requirements to level up the roster between levels 281 and 300, and applied a roster XP boost to existing rosters level 300 and below. We've also adjusted combat XP acquisition amounts in some content. We increased combat XP amounts from Chaos Dungeons and Unis tasks, along with Guardian raids. The maximum level of skill levels has been expanded from 12 to 14, and we removed the limit of 18 from the number of available tripod activations. So if you have the skill points to put into different things, you'll be able to use more tripods. We've also added new combat stats. Evolution type damage. This is going to be damage affected by Ark Passive evolution effects. Also, we've added brand power. This increases the effects of the brand, which are debuffs that supports can apply to bosses so that it increases the amount of power that their party is doing to that target. We also added perfect block, which is a new combat button that allows you to dodge certain types of attacks. You can dodge those by pressing the perfect block hotkey, which by default is G. This new system can be learned in the training room, so feel free to go there and check it out once you're in game. Along with all the other combat changes, 3 new runes have been added. Those are going to be called Mountains, Face, Vision, and Poison. We also rebalanced and updated a ton of engravings. You're really going to want to check those specifics out. They're in the notes. There's just so many levels and numbers, I'm not going to read them all out. Up next, let's talk about activities and activity balance. For activities, we added the first Ebony Cube unlock for Tier 4 at item level 1640. There's also a new collectible type, which are called Blood Claws charts. The quest, A Rumor from the Sea, will begin the journey to find those new collectibles. You can access the starting quest after clearing the North Curzon main quest, The Path to Take. Up next, let's talk about gold rewards. Gold rewards from Echidna were increased to 1,600 for normal mode and 19,500 in hard mode, but gold rewards from Kon and Ivory Tower were slightly decreased. We also updated the entrance item level for different endgame contents and updated the boss balance according to those new levels. So the Abyssal Dungeon Ivory Tower of Chaos Hard has decreased from 1620 to 1610. The Legion Raid for Thamine Hard has decreased from 1630 to 1620. The Gargadeth Guardian Raid has decreased from 1610 to 1600. And the Vescal Guardian Raid has decreased from 1630 to 1610. For Chaos Gate, we expanded the Chaos Gate item level selection from 1610 to 1629 to 1610 to 1630, since the new Chaos Dungeon is going to take place at item level 1640. Up next, let's talk about reward updates. We modified content rewards from Tier 3 to Tier 4 for the raids below. This includes Tier 4 honing materials, Tier 4 accessories, the new card pack 4s, special honing circulated leap stones instead of the Tier 3 ones, along with the possibility to earn relic engraving recipes, which we know players are going to want to get their hands on as soon as possible to power up their Tier 4 engravings. The activities that those are going to be rebalanced for are the Echidna normal and hard modes and Behemoth. We also updated raid balance for a few different raids, on top of the just general changes we made when balancing something to a new item level. We adjusted solo mode content to make it easier for newer or returning players while still teaching the key basics of raids. We nerfed various solo mode patterns in Ivory Tower of Chaos, Kyangle, Valton, Vicus, Kakul Sadon, Belshaza, and then Akon was nerfed in a previous update. So for new players that are coming in for Ignite servers, they'll have a little bit of an easier time progressing through some of these, earning gold and progression materials, while still learning a lot of the basics that they need to and fundamentals of raiding in Lost Ark. In addition to those balance changes for solo mode, we also added battle resource recovery effects to the self-reliant buff and increased the effects of the true support buff. We also added new guidance words to help teach players while they're in the raids, and we expanded the Procyon's protection to Thamine normal, so that buff will apply to new raids and help players kind of understand them with a little bit more training wheels on. Up next, let's talk about some more general changes. We consolidated the 2 sailing coins into a single high seas coin, and also Providence stones will no longer be obtainable. Remaining Providence stones will be deleted in January 2025. We updated and improved the pet system and pet effects. There's a big section on that in the notes if you want to go check it out. And we also made a bunch of changes to life skills. The level caps increased from 60 to 70. There's new Tier 4 trade skill materials for each category, new fusion material recipes available for all life skills, and added a Tier 4 material trade skill powder exchange. We overhauled the perk system and granted push immunity as a base perk and made a bunch of farm and stronghold updates to support the life skill changes, along with different researches and different things in the stronghold. If life skilling is something that you actively do, and you also spend a lot of time in your stronghold, I would highly recommend going and checking out the full sections of those in the release notes. Up next, let's talk about a few different types of content that have been removed. We removed the Tulabic Battlefield, and Faction XP and Silmail crystals that were rewards from the Tulabic have been moved to other content in Rowan. We also removed the Chaos line and replaced the acquisition of the Omnium Star 7 from the Chaos line to instead be obtainable from the boss Thunderwings. On top of that, we removed quests related to Chaos line, various exchange NPCs, and also removed Throne Spire. We also removed those related quests. We also restructured how guilds work. Characters in the same roster and guild can participate as like one guildmate rather than needing to take up a different guild slot on each one of your characters. To kind of streamline the guild experience, we removed raid match and siege match and all of the like corresponding UI. The shop has been overhauled, and there's a bunch of different changes to how guilds will function in Lost Ark. Rather than them having those PvP systems, it's mostly a way of just gathering a group of players together who you want to raid with, have additional social systems for, and also get the added perk of that shop. There's going to be new Tier 4 items available in those shops, and the overall guild level has been increased to 30. All right, let's touch on balance really quickly. With the introduction of Tier 4 and Hyper Awakenings, the damage of many awakening abilities have been restructured, with the base damage increasing significantly, but the scaling coming from the spec stat decreasing. I can't do my normal buff and nerf that I do when we talk through balances because so many classes change in Tier 4 at a very fundamental level. But there have been some additional balance changes added for many classes. We won't have the most recent balance changes that took place in Korea just a week or two ago, but we'll be caught up on the rest of the changes. We heard feedback from the community that they wanted to play Tier 4 BK Breaker at its full unnerfed potential. This is a joke, which hopefully doesn't offend you if you're this far into the video. We're still just working to identify when we can bring over those changes because we've been super focused on making sure that we can get Hyper Awakenings and a bunch of other things added to this patch. As a Glaive player, I'm excited for the balance changes, and we'll definitely push for those to come over as soon as possible. There's a ton more changes, so make sure to go check out that balance section and see if any of your classes have changed. There will be a ton of new things for you to experience with the Ark Passive, and your class will change in new ways, but make sure to read through any of those if there are questions you have about where we're at compared to Korea, if that's something that is super important to you, which it is to a lot of players. There are a ton more changes, but our goal today was to talk through some of the most important ones. If you're looking for more, I welcome you to read through all 17,000 words on our release page. All right, now let's talk about some of the updates coming in the rest of the month. Time to bring back my other friends.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
You guys want to talk about October 23rd?
So October 23rd, 2 weeks after Arkesia Ignited update launches, we'll have another sizable update for players to look forward to, which is going to be the launch of the Aegir raid. This 2-gate Kazaros raid is going to have you face off against some very familiar threats, with a Kon returning for the first fight in the first gate, and Aegir appearing as your second foe in the second gate. So it's going to be really exciting to have that next Kazaros raid ready for players.
And I will also note too that on launch, you're going to be able to see this raid in the game, but you will be blocked to access it until October 23rd. So don't be concerned when you can't queue for it right away. It will unlock at the right time, and then you'll be able to take down the giant.
Yeah, it's just going to take a little time to get there. But with this update happening later in the month and Halloween just around the corner from that October 23rd date, there's also going to be the release of some new skins we know players are really excited for. These are going to be the Incubus and Succubus skins. So little spooky, little sexy, Halloween themed, but we're really excited to share those with players later in the month.
So like always, we're going to end with a community question. For today, what are you going to make on Ignite servers? What character are you looking forward to trying out? I myself am still undecided. What about you, Rox?
Maybe an Aeromancer, I think. She seems fun.
Yeah.
Matt?
Mine's easy. 6 gun lancers.
That tracks. Giga Chad.
All right, we got 6 gun lancers. Well, as always, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you very soon in a newly ignited Arkesia.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you don't, I'll know.